What is going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you are new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the devastating news that LaMelo Ball fractured his ankle and will be out for the remainder of the season. I think right now he's still getting multiple opinions. If anything, best case scenario is that this sounds crazy, but the best case scenario is that he is hurt. It's just not as bad. And the Hornets are using this as a reason to sit him. One, because it's just the smart thing to do if he is having any injuries with the last, 20 games of the season. And two, it increases their lottery odds. Now, I'm pretty sure they're more concerned about his injury than lottery odds. If they were to just be sitting him, it would be for his sake, not for lottery odds. But it works, in both ways. The worst case scenario is that he really is injured, and so then therefore, he's going to miss a lot of time during the offseason. And I'm pretty sure he'll come back during the offseason early. Excuse me. It'll be easy to say he has the whole offseason to recover, and he does. He 100% does. There's no rush whatsoever in him getting better. The concern would just be how much of the offseason he's missing in terms of just being himself. That is the part that I feel like a lot of people do not understand with injuries. And I am one of them people. That's something that I kind of really didn't understand and pick up on until last year. It's not about the recovery time. It's about how long is he playing as himself before the season. So if, let's say, the recovery time, I've seen anything from, a few months to a couple of weeks, all kinds of stuff. And I think it's going to take a few months. So let's say it's 4 months, after surgery, it's 4 months. So you have, March is about to start. So March to April, April to May, May to June, June to July. And then July to August, August, September, September to October. So that's 8 months. So he probably won't be doing real basketball activity for the first 4 months, and that, so that's probably July. And then they're definitely going to, it is the off season, so they're going to take it a little slower. And then, he probably won't be extremely playing basketball as himself probably until September. And then you got September, October, then the season starts. So at the beginning of next season is just going to be rough for him because he didn't have a whole offseason to work out. He didn't have a whole offseason, not only to get better as a basketball player, but just to build up his body as an individual. So that's something you got to think about. And I don't feel like that, like I said, it's thought about enough. I'm not too concerned. I guess I am concerned because, it's another ankle injury, but I'm not too concerned just because he has shown that he can come back from these with no problem. We still see him mess with his wrist. So the injury lingers, but I feel like this is the first time in a long time he's really sat out. And to be honest, with the bumps and bruises he's had along the way of this season in particularly, I think that it might be good to give his whole body a rest. It's something I think the Hornets really should have did a while ago, but I get it. I really truly believe, because I know some people are like, oh, they're trying to win. And as they were playing well and they're on a 5-game winning streak currently as the day I'm recording this episode, I think that they weren't trying to win. The team was just playing well. And I truly also believe that they're afraid of the penalty that could happen to those who tank on purpose. And I know you can say the Spurs are definitely taking on purpose. The Pistons are definitely taking on purpose. And I don't actually believe the Rockets of all teams are taking on purpose. You know what? In a way, they are taking on purpose, but it's because they know that their roster is so bad and the players just don't mesh at all that they're tanking, if that makes any sense. So they know, hey, if we put our roster out there and don't make any changes, we're going to be bad. And, that's not necessarily tanking. So I believe they're following the rules. But I think the Hornets are actually afraid of something happening. And, it would just be the Hornets' luck. They would be the ones to get caught. Now, Adam Silver obviously hasn't said anything to the Spurs or the Pistons, at least that I know of. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's something where, it's because it's kind of been obvious that they're tanking. And then at the end of the season, Adam Silver was like, boom, this is your punishment for tanking on purpose. I don't know what that punishment will look like, and that's not even what this video is about, but that's just something to think about. I have no idea what that punishment will look like, considering I mean, you can't all of a sudden say, oh, well, we're removing the odds from you. It doesn't work that way. So I don't know what's going to happen for that. But anyway, about LaMelo's injury, like I said, it's just I'm concerned about how long it's just going to take him to get back to himself. He probably won't be himself at the beginning of next season. He'll be very raw. So I think that my point is I just don't think we're going to see any improvements in his game at the beginning of next year. So if LaMelo's the same LaMelo next year, not mentally, I think mentally his game's going to grow. I mean, he's a very smart player, but I just mean physically, if there's some things he's still like, I will actually say throughout this season, he's becoming a better finisher. He's still not quite where we would want him to be, but he's becoming better. But not having a whole offseason where you can practice finishing is rough. And then that he's going through that this offseason. So that is the iffy part about that, is just him going into next year without too much physical improvement, because as they should, they're probably going to take their time with him and his workouts and just his injury and everything like that. Make sure he's 100% going into next season. So I wouldn't be surprised if you just didn't see much of him literally until maybe the beginning of the season. And even then, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they sit him out for a little bit longer, or just have him come off the bench, or just play, short minutes. I don't know. But I just don't see no reason to rush this whatsoever. Like I said, he's been banged and bruised up all season long. I say just rest him as much as possible, and we'll go from there.